I think there were some people that thought they were betting on a sure thing, and Ruiz started to get a little bit of sweaty palms after he hit the deck.
What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So, Nick, I think a lot of people expected that Andy Ruiz was going to come out, make his much-anticipated return to the boxing ring last night, and get a win over Chris Arreola, which is exactly what happened.
Right.
However, Chris Arreola certainly made him work for that win, didn't he?
Yeah, he surprised everybody. You know, I predicted a late finish for Ruiz. I thought that the first few rounds would be competitive, and then eventually some not experience, but some craftiness would take over, and he'd be able to get some kind of a technical KO.
Yeah,
I was wrong. Chris Arreola might be one of the toughest guys in all of boxing. You see that chin that he's got. He's got the true Mexican warrior spirit in him, and I sign me up to watch all of the next Chris Arreola fights, because I'm in for that. He's a great post-fight speech. I know it was a little controversial, and he told some people to go, stick it where the sun don't shine. Stick it where the sun don't shine. But I'm in for that. That was great entertainment. So I was really impressed with his performance, and obviously the Destroyer looked really good. Kept his composure after getting knocked down. One thing about Andy Ruiz is when he gets knocked down, he comes back even stronger, and he's able to stay composed, which is impressive and very difficult. So next time somebody's fighting him, they put him on the canvas, don't let that adrenaline dump, because he's coming back even stronger.
Yeah, that's for sure. And sign me up. I'm down for any time a boxer tells judges to stick it where the sun don't shine, because if you've watched this channel long enough, you know my opinion on how boxing is scored and some of the corruption that happens within that sport. I think ultimately the judges got it right. Andy Ruiz, if you asked me, hey, look, or if you told me, rather, one of these two guys' butt's going to hit the canvas tonight, I would have said it would have been Chris Arreola. I was not expecting it to be Andy. That being said, I do believe Andy won that fight. The way we score fights is a 10-point must round, and then the loser of said round gets 9 points or less. Obviously 8 points for Andy in the round that he got knocked down. But the vast majority of those rounds thereafter, Andy won, and he started to pull out his craftiness and show some of the wrinkles that he's been working on with Eddy Reynoso and Team Canelo. So I think Andy really did a good job of overcoming adversity. But look, we've seen Andy on the canvas before. That's nothing new. Anthony Joshua thought he had him sealed up in New York, only to be knocked down 4 times and ultimately TKO'd later on. As you said, Chris, sign me up for anything Chris Arreola does from here on out. I'm down for it. I want to watch this guy. He's entertaining. He's fun. He comes out to win. I don't care how old he is. I don't care if he's on the wrong side of 40. He's fun to watch. And listen, the guy fought Deontay Wilder. He lost by TKO, but he did not hit the canvas. He ate Deontay's best shots and did not end up on his back. So to finish that guy is like trying to finish like a rhinoceros or something. I don't think boxing allows the type of strikes that you would need to finish a Chris Arreola. You need a spinning heel kick or a jumping knee, a Jorge Masvidal style jumping knee to finish that guy. Or like an egg weight in your glove, like Deontay Wilder says. You might need to take the stuffing out of your gloves. But I really like Chris Arreola. I think that was a very competitive fight. It was the right fight. And, it's so crazy the way boxing not only is represented from the highest levels, but the way the betting odds were. If I didn't know who Chris Arreola was and I didn't know who Andy Ruiz was, but then I saw those betting odds, I'd go, oh, this Ruiz guy's going to clean him up a couple of rounds. You look at it, what is he, minus 5,000 or something ridiculous like that. And I think it was minus 2,500 to plus like 12 or 1,300. I mean, it's just ridiculous odds. Ridiculous odds. You can make a lot of money or lose a lot of money. I think there were some people that thought they were betting on a sure thing, and Ruiz started to get a little bit of sweaty palms after he hit the deck in the second round. I think it was the second round. But Chris Arreola is a great fighter. But boxing has so many issues, and we always end up talking about them because they literally affect all the fights, especially at the highest level. But Chris Arreola, he's got a few losses on his record, but he's got a ton of wins. And that means he's got a ton of experience. And, people that watch boxing, they see that, he's 40-7, and don't correct me if I'm wrong on his record, but something like that. He must suck at boxing. It's like, no, he's got
almost 50 fights worth of experience in the pros. That's not even talking about his amateur career, and 40 of them were wins. And I don't care how good the competition was leading up to those few losses he's had. That's hard to do. It's very hard to do, and I feel like they've made losing unacceptable, and that's what screws people like Chris Arreola, who I think the fans, if they got to know him, would really enjoy him. But you have to get to 47-0 for the fans to even know who you are, and that's just one of those things that sucks about boxing.
It really does. I mean, listen, if you're 40-0, 45-0, 50-0 like Floyd Mayweather is, it's incredibly impressive. But at the same time, it tells me something else, and this is even more important and more meaningful, is that you didn't always compete against the best people that you could have competed against at the time when you should have competed against them. Name me one time in the NBA where a team has gone 50-0 to start the season. Name me one time in Major League Baseball where a team's won the first 40 games of the season. Right. You know, an NFL team, the Miami Dolphins of, I think it was the 1970s or something, are the only team that ever went like 16-0, 18-0. Don't quote me. I don't
undefeated. Yeah.
I don't know other sports like I know combat sports, but I do know enough to know that there was a Miami team that went undefeated back in the 70s, I believe. Yeah. And they have a party. Like these guys, these old guys now, they literally get together every year and have a party when the team who's undefeated loses. Yeah. So that they can keep their undefeated streak alive. So don't tell me that you're in a real sport when you're 45-0, because and listen, when you have guys look like Andy Ruiz, oh, this guy lost to Parker down in New Zealand, so he's got a loss on his record, so he's the B-side, and he's a little chubby guy. We'll get him for Anthony Joshua, and he's our guy who's undefeated. And Eddie Hearn's like staying up late at night trying to figure out how he can make Joshua continue the undefeated streak. And what happens, as Tyson Fury says, he gets bowled over by a little fat fella. Yeah. And that's exactly what happens when you prop these people up. And the fact that boxing has made it inexcusable to lose and still be the A-side is the kiss of death for the sport. Yeah. Because there's so many people that could shine that have lost a fight. I mean, imagine if Anderson Silva, when he lost his first fight, we just threw him out. John Jones, Conor McGregor, Brock Lesnar. Like
Izzy Adesanya would now be on the chopping block.
Adesanya, he's a bum. He's a B-side fightor now. It's just, I mean, listen, boxing's our second favorite sport. MMA is our favorite. Anybody who listens to us knows that. But there's so much that MMA has taken from boxing, and MMA is better for it. But I think boxing needs to start pulling some stuff from MMA now, because they could benefit greatly from it.
Yeah, and MMA learned a lot from boxing and took a lot from boxing, but they also learned a lot on what not to do. And you can learn just as much on what not to do as you can on what to do. And I think not just the UFC, but all of the organizations at the top of mixed martial arts are doing a good job of that. And boxing just seems to be a dinosaur of a sport. They're just kind of stuck in their old ways. There's a few people that are, running the industry that run it kind of into the ground. And as long as their pockets are full enough, then they don't really care otherwise what happens to the industry. And it's just that they aren't looking out for tomorrow. They aren't looking out for their fighters. And when you talk about the records, they would rather see a guy go 20-0 against straight bums than a guy who's 30-5 and just chalk it up to, oh, that guy sucks. He's lost 5 fights, but this is our new guy. He's 20-0. And now that, he's getting some notoriety, let's put him in there against each other. And that 30-5 guy smokes him because he's been fighting nobodies. And that guy has had tough fights and was able to string together 30 out of 35 wins. So it's where boxing literally screws itself, because you see these boxers and they're like, some of the best in the world, but they don't get any shine or any notoriety, and they've been brought in to get beat up, and they end up shocking the world, or almost shocking the world in Chris Arreola's case.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've seen it happen on the local circuit many times, and we've been at fights where this has happened. You got a guy who's 11-0, he's 19 years old, he had a good amateur career, his managers and his coaches have very carefully crafted those 10 opponents for him, and now the commission's saying they want him to step up in competition, so they find this guy in Tijuana who's wanting to come in and take a fight, and his record's 19-7, and like, oh, he's He's got 7 losses. By the way, all split decision losses or decision losses. And he comes in. B-side. Yeah, he comes in, and no matter if he boxed the ears off of his opponent, he still took the loss, or at the very best that he could hope for as a draw. And he comes in and he starches your guy who's 10-0, and then he's now 10-1. It's disingenuous. It's not. It's like you get, okay, this guy's 30-0. Here, I'm going to put his picture on a billboard. This is Joe Schmo, the boxer. He's got 30 wins, 27 knockouts. And for me, the fan, and I'm a pretty in-depth fan of boxing, I can look at him and be like, okay, great, never heard of him. Yeah. Don't know who he is. Who are all his 30 opponents? Okay, never heard of any of them. They've all got losing records. Okay, cool. Who cares? I would much rather see a guy like Chris Arreola, like Andy Ruiz, now like Anthony Joshua, Manny Pacquiao, Lomachenko, these guys who have losses on their records but can damn fight, and they put on exciting fights, and that's what we want to see. That's what MMA has done. That's why MMA has eclipsed boxing in its popularity. I mean, unless you're talking Canelo Alvarez, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, not even Errol Spence, a few, Tyson Fury, you're not getting the numbers that just a regular UFC fight will bring.
Not even close. And yeah, the best boxer in the sport right now is carrying a loss around from Floyd Mayweather. And if Canelo Alvarez got tossed to the wayside because he lost to Floyd Mayweather and they never got to see his career grow to what it is now, that would have just been a true shame, because he legitimately is the best boxer on the planet. Yeah. And I personally would love to see boxing fix its old ways. I think it's going to literally have to take them losing all of their credibility and become a smaller sport than celebrity boxing for them to realize they need to make some changes. But as of right now, there's a reason Jake Paul is the biggest name in boxing, and that's not an exaggeration. That is factual. And
that's backed up by pay-per-view numbers, albeit probably very inflated pay-per-view numbers from Triller.
Which shows you how bad boxing numbers are right now. I mean, unless you've got Tyson Fury locked in there with a Deontay Wilder or an Anthony Joshua, you're not pulling any kind of big numbers. Canelo,
Billy Joe will probably do well, but
it's not cracking. It's not cracking over 500,000. I don't see that happening. Maybe. But everybody knows what's going to happen in that fight. So I don't know. I would much rather see competitive fights. Last night I was very pleased with how competitive the fight was. And I love that Andy Ruiz said he's down to do it again. And if they do it again with Chris Arreola, which I'm not predicting they will, I think that Andy gets it done, and maybe gets it done a little bit quicker. But it's hard to say that he's going to finish Chris Arreola or even drop him when we haven't seen him touch the canvas besides the bottom of his shoes.
Unless you plan on running him over with a Mack truck in that ring, you're not gonna finish him. But what an incredible fight. Yeah. And that's why heavyweight boxing shouldn't have odds like minus 2,500 to plus 1,200. I mean, this is heavyweight boxing. Anybody can get knocked out. Deontay Wilder can and did get technically knocked out. I mean, the guys with the heaviest hands can go to sleep just as well. Yep. So, to put those kind of odds in heavyweight boxing where literally anything can happen, I think is foolish. And to put money on somebody who's a minus 2,500 favorite, you're just asking for, a real knockout punch to your wallet.
One shot can end the night with the heavyweights, and 8-ounce gloves are pretty small when you get somebody that weighs 250 pounds wearing them. So
I think they wear 10s, but whatever. That doesn't make a difference.
Those 2 ounces really don't matter. Yeah. So
they need 2 more ounces just to cover those big hands.
Exactly.
Well, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. As most of you know who watch us, we usually cover MMA on this channel, but we love boxing as well, and a great fight like last night certainly deserves a video from us. So if you've enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe, and check us out on audio where you listen to those podcasts. Until the next one, have a wonderful day.
Peace.